Have I not reviewed a movie from Aardman before? Well, better late than never. Early Man is the latest movie from Aardman Animation, the same company that makes stuff like Chicken Run, Shaun the Sheep, Pirates Band of Misfits, and their most famous creation is Wallace and Gromit. And this is actually from the director of Chicken Run and All Things Wallace and Gromit, the movie and the shorts, Nick Park. So the movie Early Man follows a group of cavemen whose land is taken over by this dictator, voiced by Tom Hiddleston, and what's known as the Bronze Age. So our main character, a caveman named Doug, voiced by Eddie Redmayne, decides to challenge the Bronze Age to a game of football. And by football, I mean soccer for us, not American football. So anyway, the challenge is accepted, and the cavemen have to train up in order to learn how to play football, soccer, and win their land back. That's pretty much the plot. So I listed some of the more famous movies that Aardman Animation is known for, but one reputation that they have is putting out awful trailers for their movies. Whenever you watch a trailer for an Aardman movie, it looks terrible. It looks like it's one of the worst things you'll ever see, but then you watch the movie and most of the time they end up being really good. So at this point, I've just kind of learned to give them the benefit of the doubt whenever they put out a movie, because most of the time it ends up being pretty good. I wish I could say this was one of those times. While the movie ended up being a lot better than the trailers made it out to be, it's still very disappointing, and it sucks because I love Nick Park. I love Chicken Run. I love the Wallace and Gromit shorts. I liked Curse of the Were-Rabbit, though the shorts are better. So I was really looking forward to this despite how mediocre the trailers looked. And the problem with this movie is not that it's like awful or anything. It's not. It's just aimed at a much younger crowd. There aren't many clever moments to this movie. The plot's pretty generic. You can kind of pinpoint where it's gonna end up. And because of that, it just makes the movie rather boring and dull. One of the things that I really like about Aardman is a lot of the visual sight gags that they do. They're just very clever at putting in some absurd imagery that it works. You laugh along with it. Unfortunately, this movie doesn't really have that. Most of the movie's humor comes from soccer puns, which I'm not into soccer. I played a lot of it just for fun in college with my friends. All I knew about soccer was just kick the ball to the goal. That was it. So all these soccer puns just flew over my head repeatedly. I'm like, I don't get it. I feel like there are jokes somewhere. Maybe I'm not getting it. I mean, it did have some moments that made me chuckle. For example, the movie opens up with two dinosaurs fighting each other, and they're the exact same dinosaurs from 1 million years BC, a Triceratops and a Ceratosaurus. So I'm like, okay, that's a clever sight gag, and a little nod to some past stop-motion things before, which I guess I should clarify that. That stop motion, this is more claymation, where the characters are really made of clay. The stuff that Laika does, like Coraline and Kubo and the Two Strings, is stop motion. What Aardman does is claymation. And if there's one thing that I really love about this movie, it is the claymation and the designs. I always love the designs that Nick Park gives his characters because they're so interesting, they're so diverse, and they're so British because of the teeth. People make a lot of jokes about British teeth, but apparently braces don't exist within Aardman movies. But anyway, I just love the designs, and I also really like how some of the voice actors are pretty unrecognizable. Eddie Redmayne voices the main character Doug, as I mentioned, and there are a few points where I can kind of tell that's Eddie Redmayne, but not most of the time. Then you have Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, who is often unrecognizable. There are a few points where I can listen to the character's voice and go, oh yeah, that's Arya. The most unrecognizable voice for me is Tom Hiddleston as the film's villain because he's doing a comedic French accent, and there are a few points where I'm trying to hear a hint of Tom Hiddleston, but I just can't. And there were a few moments with that character that made me laugh. Out of all the characters in the movie, Tom Hiddleston's was the one that got the most chuckles out of me. Unfortunately, it's not the pig that acts like a dog, who's voiced by Nick Park. And the fact that I mentioned that this pig has a voice actor kind of shows why I had a problem with it, because when you watch Wallace and Gromit, Gromit especially is just so quiet. He's pretty much like a silent film star like Buster Keaton, where a lot of his comedy comes from pantomiming and facial expressions. And with the pig here, there's a lot of facial expressions, but there's also a lot of grunts, like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." And after a while, it just gets really annoying really fast. Another Aardman example of great silent comedy is the monkey in Pirates Band of Misfits. All the monkey does is communicate through cue cards, and he has a wide range of facial expressions, which makes that character work. This one just doesn't really work. So yeah, I don't have much to say about Early Man. It's really disappointing. The best parts of the movie, again, are the designs and the claymation animation. Because I'm just so in love with that form of animation, I just wish it was utilized in a better movie. So because of the claymation, and because it's technically geared at a much younger crowd, I will say watch at your own risk. The kids will really enjoy it. I know I would have loved this as a kid because of its goofiness at points, but it's not Aardman's strongest. Pirates Band of Misfits was better than this. But if you really want to see the best of Nick Park, watch the Wallace and Gromit shorts, particularly The Wrong Trousers and A Close Shave. Those two are my absolute favorites. And that's my review for Early Man. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.